Hello viewers, welcome to the channel KF34. Today we have come with a different video. This is not a usual review video as we have done in our previous videos. Today we have come with our dream build, the Triban RC100 customization. This Triban RC100, as we have mentioned earlier, it's an entry-level road cycle from Decathlon. This is a 7-speed road cycle, and this particular cycle was a flat bar road cycle. This video is of the customization of this bike to a proper road cycle. We have waited for a period of 6 months to source the parts and also to get this work done in a proper and a perfect way. This video shall be comprising of 7 different parts, which are mainly the parts which were planned for upgradation, finding the correct workshop to do this work, customization work, cost of each modification which I have done for the cycle, different hurdles or unforeseen problems which I had to face during the customization work, proper bike fitting, the final outcome and the final results, and the take-home message from my video. Triban RC100 is one of the most successful bikes from the Decathlon, so many have this cycle with them and many are looking towards modifying this cycle. So please watch this video in full so that I'll be explaining in detail what all difficulties I had to face during the customization work, and I will be noting them down point by point so that you may not have to face the same and you can get this done in a better way or much more easier way. So do watch this video in full. Now we shall see the each and every modification which I have done to this bike. This Triban RC100 was a 7-speed cycle, and now this has been modified into a 16-geared cycle with 8x2 combination. Now this has an 8-speed cassette at the rear, and it has a double crank at the front. It came with a single crank, now we have upgraded to a double crank. This double crank is from the brand Shimano and is of the group set Sora. I have done this specifically to reduce the weight of the double crank. This rear derailleur is of Shimano Claris and the front derailleur is also Shimano Claris. The rear hub of this bike was upgraded from the stock set to Shimano Dior free hub. This Shimano Dior is a sealed free hub. It has very minimal rolling resistance and it helps in increasing the speed of this bike significantly. The next major modification done to this bike is the changing of the flat bar. The flat bar of this bike has been modified into drop bar, and the shifters also has been changed accordingly. These shifters are Shimano Claris group set and they are dual action shifters. Both brakes and shifting comes from the same levers, and this flat bar with the levers have been modified in this bike. As you can see, the front brakes were of Tektro RL340 in this bike, and this has been changed to Tiagra group set brake set in this bike. The chain has been upgraded from stock setup to KMC Z8 chain. This bike comes with a steel fork as a stock part. This steel fork has been upgraded to carbon fork. The main function or main purpose of this modification was to reduce the weight and also make the cycle more aerodynamic. As is the case with the fork, the stem has also been modified in this bike. the stock stem has been changed for a short stem, and this is a carbon stem. The main purpose of this modification was to reduce the weight as well as to make the reach more comfortable for me. The short stem makes it possible to get a more comfortable riding position in this medium framed cycle. Another important thing which we have to keep in mind while modifying the RC100 is that the front bottom bracket of RC100 has been designed to accommodate only a single crank. So when we are upgrading from a single crank cycle to a double crank, as I have done in this cycle, we need to upgrade the bottom bracket. So in here I have bought customized Hasins bottom bracket to accommodate the double crank which has been put on the front. Now we shall see the unforeseen hurdles or the hiccups I had to face while doing this customization. This cycle is a medium frame size cycle. My height is 165 centimeter. So 165 centimeter is the lowest limit for the height who can use the medium frame size cycle. So for the flat bar cycle, this medium frame size was easy for me or was okay for me. But when upgrading this flat bar to a drop bar cycle, the reach naturally increases. So with the stock stem, it was very difficult, or the reach was extremely high. I had to lean very much forwards to get the reach. So it was becoming uncomfortable for me to use this medium frame cycle and upgrade to a drop bar. To correct that, I customized, or I had to modify the stem also. So I swapped the stock stem with a short stem. And in order to reduce the weight, this new short stem is made from carbon, so that along with the making my reach more comfortable, this reduces the weight of the bike also significantly. We are adding many components to this bike, so the weight naturally increases. To counteract that increase in the weight, we need to cut down the weight of the bike. So carbon components were necessary during this customization. This carbon fork is made for proper road cycles, and the tire which came as stock in RC100 cycle was 32 section tire. So the tire was rubbing with the inner part of the carbon fork. So in order to correct that, I had to upgrade the tire. So this tire has been changed from 32 section tire to 25C section tire. Another hiccup which I had to face during the modification was that I had modified the stock hub of this bike to the Shimano Dior free hub. This hub has been designed for 28 spoked wheels. The RC100 came with 32 spoked wheels as stock format. So I had to change this wheel to a 28 spoke wheel to get this Shimano Dior free hub attached to this bike. That's another problem which I had to face. I had initially sourced the drop bar from the RC500 cycle to get it fitted to the RC100 cycle. But at that point of time, the plan I had in my mind was to use the same stock stem itself. But while the modification was going on, I found my reach to be very difficult, my reach to be very leaning forward if I had used the stock stem. So I had to modify the stem to short stem and a carbon one. So while that was done, the RC500 frame, the RC500 drop bar was not getting fitted to this new short stem. So to correct that, I had to buy yet another, or I had to source yet another drop bar which is suitable with this stem. So I had to get it from a giant cycle. This drop bar was a used one. By luck, I got hold of this drop bar at a reasonable rate, and I could get this done. The downside of that, changing the RC500 frame, RC500 drop bar to the giant drop bar, is that this giant drop bar is a little bit heavier than RC500 drop bar. So it added a bit more weight. Another hiccup which I had to face while modifying this bike was that what you see inside this fork is the flower bush. This is required to fix the fork to the handlebar or tighten the handlebar to this fork and also the frame of the cycle. This flower had to be sourced separately to get the carbon fork fitted. And also another hiccup, this is the most important or the most troublesome thing I had to face. What you see here is a washer. This washer is meant to reduce the friction while the fork is turned or while the handlebar is turned while we navigate the cycle. So this washer could not be dislodged, or this washer had to be sourced separately. And mind you, this is not available as a free thing. When this is not available in loose, usually this comes fitted to the fork. My carbon fork didn't have this thing along with that. So luckily I got one washer which is suitable to the carbon fork from the Decathlon store itself. With that only I could complete my customization completely. So that's another important thing which you have to keep in mind. if you are going for a carbon fork upgradation in your RC100 cycle. For that matter, in any cycle, if you are upgrading the fork to a carbon fork, keep in mind you will need a washer like this to make the movement easier. This washer comes in this area where the fork meets with the frame of the cycle. Here, while we turn the cycle, in order to reduce the friction, a washer is being placed. One of the most important hurdle we have to sort out while doing this customization work was to find a proper workshop or a team who can get this work done in a perfect way. I had approached several shops, but most of them had discouraged me, telling that the outcome or the result won't be that much better while doing this customization. And they all had to, and majority of them prompted me to go for a new bike other than modifying this bike. I had narrowed down to 2 main shops for doing this work. The main problem was they need to source the components as well as they had to get the work done. Sourcing the components was a major challenge because the work was being done during the times of COVID restrictions. So the components were not available freely, mainly Shimano components. So the only shop or the guys who gave me the confidence to go ahead with this customization and who were confident in getting this work done perfectly was the Team Aerosports in Kottayam district of Kerala state. With this customization was Team Aerosports, who are located at Kottayam district near Pala. The team at the Aerosports consists of 3 enthusiastic professional cyclists, and they mainly concentrate on building custom bikes, custom built bikes. So they were the only one who gave me the confidence to go ahead with this customization, and they were the only one who could source these components for me. So without the help or without the team at Aerosports, this cycle customization could not have been done and this cycle could not have been materialized. So a big shout out and thanks to them, the Team Aerosports. In this customization, we had changed the handlebar as well as fork. So naturally the geometry got changed. So I had to do a proper bike fitting so as to make this bike well suited to my physique. I personally preferred a geometry which is more in favor for long distance touring rather than outright speed. So the handlebar was placed in such a way that it provided a much more relaxed position as compared to the usual road cycles. So for that, during the process of bike fitting, they had to insert 3 rings between the handlebar and the fork so as to raise the handlebar. So after the bike customization, to make the bike much more suited or best suited for the customer, bike fitting is an important or a phenomenal thing. So it has to be done, it has to be kept in mind to get it bike fitted for you. To make the geometry again well suited for the customer or the rider, bike fitting needs to be done, and it is a phenomenal thing in this customization, in every customization. Now we shall have a quick look at the outcome of this whole customization process. Initially what we had in mind was just to upgrade this 7-speed cycle into a 16-speed cycle, having a gear at the front, having 2 cranks at the front and 8 cogs at the rear. I entered into this customization process seriously. Multiple components of the cycle were modified, and we could successfully transform this entry-level RC100 cycle into a full-blown road cycle in its all senses. In this process, we had to put a double crank at the front and we had to install an extra cog at the rear to make it a 16-speed cycle. As well as during the process of bike fitting, we had to install 3 metal rings between the handlebar and the fork to make it properly fitted to my physique. And a front derailleur also had to be added. These were the components that added weight to the cycle. So in order to counteract this increase in the weight, to reduce the weight, we had installed carbon fork as well as carbon stem to this cycle. So the final outcome in terms of weight is that the stock RC100 cycle without pedals weighs about 11.3 kilograms as per the Decathlon official site. So the final outcome of this customization, this RC100 customization in terms of weight is that this cycle now weighs just 10.1 kilograms without pedals. So we had a weight advantage or weight benefit of 1.2 kilograms by this whole customization process. And along with that, the rear hub of the cycle is modified into a Shimano Dior free hub, which has very minimal rolling resistance and increases the speed significantly. Along with that, the front wheel was customized to a 25cc section tire. So all these parts, the weight advantage, the hub modification as well as the tire change has resulted in such a way that the average speed of the cycle has been significantly improved. Now with the proper bike fitting, this cycle is a proper long distance touring cycle. The total amount of money that I had to spend for this customization was 26,000 rupees. So including the price of the cycle, the total cost incurred to me was about 48,000 rupees. Considering the amount that I had to spend and the final product which I got, this whole customization was an extremely value for money process, because a cycle that weighs about 10.1 kilograms and having such components such as having these components, just the carbon 4 carbon stem, if you are getting a cycle from the giant brand, it will cost about 80,000 90,000 rupees. If you are getting a road cycle of the same spec having a weight of 10.1 kilograms from a Polygon brand, it will cost you about 60 to 65,000 rupees. So considering those prices, this cycle customization proves to be an extremely value for money process. So as legends say, if you have a capable frame with you, try customizing the components of this cycle rather than upgrading to a whole new cycle. You will get surprising results. So this is a video of our dream customization or dream build, the RC100 customization. So if you have liked the video, smash that like button. If you are new to this channel, do remember to subscribe to the channel as we will be posting. Stay safe. Thank you all. Live better, ride a bike.